I'm Luke. I'm the pastor here. I'm thrilled that you're here. I'm going to preach to you now. If you have a Bible, I would love for you to look at Matthew chapter 2. I'd love for you to turn there. We're just going to kind of vote. We don't do a lot of voting here, but we're going to vote. Do we vote that we should open a window or two? All in favor, say aye. Okay. People who can be trusted to open a door or window, which I would not be one. Yes. So I just want the record to state Christmas 2025 in the same week that the Bears won that game against the Packers. We also had to open the windows on Christmas Eve. All right. Not too many. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, we got enough over here. Maybe somebody on this side too. I don't know. There's candles. Don't burn the building down, etc. All right. All right, there we go. Matthew chapter 2. By show of hands, who has bought a gift this season? Okay, yeah, most people. People have different ways of going about buying gifts. My sweet wife just pours over what she's going to buy. She thinks about it. She keeps a little ledger to make sure that we don't spend 50 cents more on one of the kids than the other kids. I was sent out to get something last night to eat, and she just she thinks and 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 thinks. And the other day, I drove to Nordstrom at Woodfield up on the second level, and I left my truck running on the curb, and I walked in, and I knew the exact two things that I wanted to get her, and I was out in 5 minutes, and I had the gifts. Right, I know. I knew you were going to react like that. I don't know what to tell you. People have different ways of going about finding what they're looking for. People have different ways of going about finding what they're looking for. Matthew chapter 2 is the story of the wise men, which you may know, you may not, but it goes like this. It says in Matthew chapter 2 in verse 1, "Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east, they came from Jerusalem, saying, 'Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and we've come to worship him.'" A few things are important here. It's really important. A lot of times people really want you to know that the wise men were not at the nativity. They saw the star when Jesus was born, and they showed up sometime a while later. And your Bible wants you to know that was after Jesus was born. There was this guy Herod. Herod was an unscrupulous tyrant. And it was during his time, he's going to be a character in the story. And when these guys show up, what they say, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews?" Interesting to note, the way that they say this question is not, who's the person who was born who's going to turn into a king? The way their question is framed is, who is the person who was already king when they were born? And this all came from what they saw in the sky. Whatever was happening with this star sent these rich people on a journey to figure out. They were trying to find something. They were looking for something. I don't know kind of where you're at on astrology, horoscopes, some of that stuff. It's all nonsense, obviously. But some people sort of think of that as something that only people who aren't sophisticated enough know. Have you had the experience at any time this year of having someone, it was probably someone pretty old, send you a video and you had to tell them it was made by AI and wasn't actually real? Who's had that experience? Yeah, maybe we take away the phones of people who can't tell the difference. Maybe I don't know. If you've had that experience, that's kind of the way I think a sophisticated person looks at astrology. It's maybe it's something to distract you, but there's nothing real there. But these guys who came on this journey to find Jesus Christ, whatever it was that they saw in the sky was so powerful that they dropped everything in their life, everything on their schedule, everything they had in front of them, everything that was needed to be done, because they couldn't rest until they figured this thing out. And I think I see in them maybe something maybe you can recognize. There is this universal desire to find something that scratches that itch. You know the thing I'm talking about? There's this thing inside of us that is, well, I'll show it to you a few ways. In 2005, Tom Brady, the human heart was, we're going to Tom Brady. That's fine. This was in 2005. Tom Brady was on 60 Minutes. He was interviewed. In the middle of his career, he had won 3 Super Bowls. He was married to, world-famous Superman, all that. And he said, why do I have 3 Super Bowl rings, but I still think there's something greater out there for me? A lot of people would say, hey, man, this is what it is. I reached my goal, my dream, my life. Me, I think, God, it's got to be more than this. This can't be what it's all cracked up to be. You could watch 20 years of that person's life and see more of a chase to try to find something to scratch that itch. He's echoing something that a famous theologian from North Africa named Augustine said a couple thousand years ago almost, when he said, Lord, you made us for yourself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you. This is a common human experience. Blaise Pascal in the Middle Ages described it this way: all men seek happiness without exception. Whatever different means they employ, they all tend to this end. This is the motive of every action of every man, even of those who hang themselves. Crazy. I see through history and in Matthew chapter 2, this thing that was on the screen a second ago, the human heart was made to find something, and until you find it, you won't be satisfied. You're looking, you're trying to find something. We'll talk more about that in a second. The wise men describe Jesus as someone who was born already as the King of the Jews. He was born into great power, privilege, esteem, implied he was something because of where he came from. We have this still in our culture, right? There's lots of people that become something. I think I got some pictures here, that people that become something because of who they were born to. He wouldn't be in the NBA if it wasn't his dad. He probably wouldn't be the president if it wasn't his dad, and no one would ever listen to her music if it wasn't for that stupid achy breaky heart song. It was what I was going for there. But we understand this, that some people are born, we don't know a lot about the star. I noticed last night, I was out really late at a basketball game, and I noticed on the way home there was a really beautiful, bright crescent moon. But we don't notice the stars. We don't have a lot of that. There was this thing, did anyone get involved in or ponder earlier this year that you could see the northern lights a few times? I heard about it. I don't know. I never was awake at the right time to see it. This is 40. I don't know. But I brought some pictures that I found. The way that this works, I learned a few things. That's a real picture, not an AI picture. This year was the peak of an 11-year sunspot and geomagnetic activity cycle. During this peak, the sun sends more charged particles towards Earth, and these particles interact with the Earth's magnetic field and atmosphere to produce brighter and more frequent auroras. This is another picture that I found. This is a real picture, not an AI picture. We're mostly city folk here, suburban city, quasi, whatever. But have you ever had that experience in your life of being somewhere out in the country and seeing on the right night a sky full of stars? If you've ever seen that, you can maybe slightly appreciate that whatever was going on, they saw this star and they dropped everything because they thought maybe it was a clue to finding what they were looking for. So back to Matthew chapter 2. When it says that when Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. Why was Herod troubled? Well, what is the main point of being a king? You want to stay being a king. So when these guys show up and say, hey, we heard there's this new king that was born, the existing king doesn't like it very much. And so it says that in the next verse, it says that he assembled all the chief priests and all the scribes. He got everybody together and he was like, okay, wait, tell me again, remember Herod is Roman. So he's like, tell me again what the Jewish people, they think there's a king or something. Tell me about that again, remember? Tell me. So they told him that Bethlehem of Judea, that's where he's supposed to be born, for it's written in the prophets, and you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, you see the verse there, he's quoting Micah chapter 5 and verse 2 that was written 1,000 years before. Basically, these religious leaders say to the king, well, I mean, if these guys are saying they saw a star over Bethlehem, it is kind of in the story of what the Jewish people believe, that that's where the king is supposed to be born. A lot of people have this experience that Herod and these scribes and chief priests have. A lot of people know answers, but don't have faith. Been around people like this before? There's lots of people that know answers, but they don't have faith. I can't tell you how often, I've told you guys this before, but like when you're a pastor and people find that out, like sometimes they get really weird, like right away. Like one of my son's football coaches, I was talking to him one day, what do you do for work? And what do you do for work? Oh, I have a church, I'm a pastor over here. And he was like, oh, yeah, me too, I'm a big God guy, he said. I was like, totally, dude, that totally sounds like what people go to church sound like. But I can't tell you how often I talk to people and they're like, I went to 3 years of CCD, or I was confirmed as a Lutheran, or this or that. They'll say that, and then they'll say, I don't remember any of it. Like, for a lot of people, their religious upbringing is sort of like the way a lot of us feel about high school Spanish or something. I know I was there, and like I think I got a B, but don't ask me to. You get it. And that's what's going on here. They knew that it was totally possible that the king that everybody was waiting for was showing up. They knew the answers, but didn't have the faith. I guess my point is, a lot of people are looking for something, but they can't see the thing that they're looking for. They know the answers, but they don't have the faith to go with it. This is everything, right? Plenty of people know how you're supposed to eat, but don't eat that way. Plenty of people know how they're supposed to deal with their personal finances, but don't do it that way. Plenty of people know that you're happier if you spend as much time as you can at home and don't just slave away at work all day, but they find themselves. It's very common for us to know the right answers, but struggle to live to the right answers. So then in verse 7, it says this, that Herod, what he did was he summoned the wise men secretly. So he sent all the important people out of the room, and he brought those guys in. He was like, hey, tell me again when you saw the star. Tell me again when you saw the star. And then he sent them to Bethlehem. Classic manipulative little boss move here, where the boss sends you to solve the problem, you know. He sent them to Bethlehem saying, hey, can you go and search diligently for the child, and when you found him, bring me word that I too may come and worship him. That's like, hey, Austin's here. That right there, that's got a little that should have a little villain tune, I think, that goes with that. So right there, I'm going to read the verse again, and you're going to come with the villain tune. Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word that I too may come and worship him. Right off the Hamilton tour bus, Austin Dedman, everyone. Strong. And then the next verse, it says that after listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen, when it rose, went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. So this text seems to be saying that they saw the star first, and they started going after the star. Then they got kind of close by, and now they couldn't see anything before. They couldn't see anything now. But right at the moment where all hope seemed lost, or they weren't sure where to go, or right then, it showed up again, and it says that the star came to rest over the place where the child was. I've talked about this before plenty of times, but I learned to drive when you had to know how to get places. You couldn't just put in your phone. Who learned to drive when you had to know how to get places? Yeah, it's totally different. And if you grew up in those times, printing out a piece of paper, with the MapQuest directions on it or whatever, it was your way of getting places. I got this paper. Just imagine trying to find somewhere to go. Imagine how bright and how direct it must have been if there was a star that didn't get them to the right town, no. Not the right subdivision, no. Not the right street. It made it clear exactly the place where they were supposed to go. They were looking for something, I guess, that was hard to find. A lot of us go down all kinds of paths trying to find how to scratch that itch or find that thing that we're trying to look for, you know? Some people think that possession is going to make them happy. Like, if my parents just got me that dog for Christmas, if my husband just bought me that thing that I left out, like on the bathroom counter circled, he probably didn't see it. But some of us think that like possession is the thing that's going to take me forward, right? You see all these words here. Some people run after pleasure as that thing, right? I'm going to have a certain kind of experience. I'm going to go to a certain kind of place, or I'm going to have a certain kind of relationship. For some people, it's I'm going to climb the ladder in my job, or a certain way to get enough power. For some people, it's I'm going to get, I've talked to so many people this week who, it's just like for them, it's about their people. I feel happy when all my people are gathered around the table. For some people, it's more like an intellectual level. It's pursuing after a certain world of understanding. There's lots of ways that we go about trying to find the thing that we're looking for. And my suggestion to you is that the human heart was made to find something, and until you find it, you won't be satisfied. So then it says in the next verse that when they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. I mean, imagine as far as we can understand, this is a real story that really happened. These guys marched hundreds, probably thousands of miles on foot or by animal, and all of a sudden, finally, the star showed back up at the perfect time to take them where they were trying to get to. They freaked. So they rejoiced exceeding with great joy. And it says, and going into the house, which I like, I don't know if it really happened this way, but the text reads like they didn't knock at the door or say like, hey, they just got so excited, they just like burst in the front door. And they saw the child with Mary, his mother, and they fell down and worshiped him. And then you know this part, even if you've never been in church before one time in your life. They opened their treasures and they offered him gifts. What were the gifts? Gold and frankincense and myrrh, right. Like one that you know is good and the other ones feel a little weird. I don't know. It's like they gave him jewelry and essential oils, I guess. They were trying to recruit Jesus into a pyramid scheme. That was what I'll tell you about the gifts in just a second. And then the last verse that I want to study with you today is it just says, then, that being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country and they went a different way. The gifts are important because the gifts were to express worship. They weren't to try to earn something. I think that's important. And the gifts were their way as human people of saying that they understood that they were under this child that somehow they had realized was the king of all the world. And like I've said a couple times, the human heart was made to find something, and until you find it, you won't be satisfied. I want to try to show it to you a couple ways. So our church this year bought an apartment building over here by the library, and we have a housing program that we're trying to help families in our community get into home ownership. If you're interested in that, you can find out about it on the website. We have an open spot actually in it right now. But when we took over the building, we found that the basement, maybe you've lived in a building like this in your life, there was a washer and a dryer, and the only way to operate it was with quarters. Which, like, who has quarters? Like, and there's something so humorous about the fact that you can't tap on this washing machine to get it to work, and you can't insert a bill, and you can't use a dime, or I guess I was at the bank today, and pennies are like over. Did you hear about this? They said at the bank, like, soon we won't be able to give you any more pennies. And I just like started asking like the old Polish lady in front of me, explain to me what this means. And anyways, I don't understand. I guess we're there. There's no more pennies. Was I the last one to find this out? Yes. Okay, yeah, so I was studying the Bible. I was studying the Bible while you were all reading articles about pennies. So there. It doesn't matter if you have $10 million in your bank account. If you walk up to that washing machine and don't have a quarter, you're not going to be doing any laundry. It doesn't matter how much you have in your brokerage account or what car you drove over to the apartment building with. The only thing that can get your laundry started is a quarter. And I want to suggest to you this Christmas time that a lot of people are feeling that unhappiness or that itch or that frustration of it just feels like there should be something more. And the reason you're feeling that way is because there is something more. And until you come fully into alignment with who Jesus Christ is, you're going to keep on feeling that for the rest of your time on this planet. It doesn't matter what goal you're chasing. Maybe you're chasing like being able to bench press a certain amount. I could give you some advice about that if you're looking for it. Maybe you're chasing like a certain perfect little family moment. Maybe you're chasing a certain relationship, something. And maybe the worst thing that could ever happen to you is that you'll get it and you'll realize it didn't solve anything. Your heart was made to come into alignment with Jesus Christ, and until you get there fully with him, you won't be satisfied. The story of Christmas, wherever my daughter Fifi is, she's coming to help me in just a second. So someone look out that door, Austin, help me. She's coming to help me in a second. The story of Christmas is this: 1,000 times in history, a baby has become a king. But this is the only time in history where a king became a baby. Do you see the difference? That all through history, we know the story. Every every little fairy tale and story. Come on, Fifi, come on, sweetie. Yeah, you're going to play the piano in just a second, right? Hey, nice to see you. Hey, yeah. Come on. You're going just a second. Help, make sure she's ready, Austin. We know the story of a baby becoming a king. But the amazing story is that Jesus Christ voluntarily put himself down from heaven to earth on our behalf. He became a baby so that he could become a king again. This is my daughter, Fifi, and she has been learning. You don't have to worry. Oh, yeah, you want me to move this? She's been learning Away in a Manger, and she's going to play it for you. Ready? All right, here we go. You got it. Now, it's my friend, for those of you who know, or for those of you who don't know Austin, he's part of our church. He's on the road. He tours with Hamilton full time. And he's going to play a little different. Come on. So I would take, yeah. Here you go. I would take her version 10,000 times over his. Why? There's nothing, and he's my dear friend, there is nothing that my dear friend could do on that piano that would do inside my heart what seeing my sweet little 8-year-old over there is doing. And all right. Why does that matter? It matters because I hear gold, frankincense, myrrh. This is what they brought. And it's easy to think, well, what do I bring? For some of us, like, what do I bring to who Jesus is? I bring regret. I bring divorce, bankruptcy, mistake. I wish I could do it different. All that stuff. What Jesus Christ wants is relationship with you and your acknowledgement that he is king. That is the way to come into relationship with the great God of the universe. The message of Christmas is not just a sappy, saccharine, sweet thing about the girl and the baby. That's all the good stuff. It leads towards a cross and a grave and a king who is coming again. That's the story of Christmas that I came to say today. Would you stand to your feet and bow your head? I want to pray with you, and then